Okay, good evening, everyone. I feel very lucky to be here first time um, in Costa Rica and to meet my brothers and sisters, my fellow Jews all over. And the topic of today, in one word in Hebrew, the name of the title is Emunah. Emunah. I just put next to it the word rationality. Rationality, faith and rationality. And I want to try, with the little time that we have now, to analyze and try to make everyone understand better what Emunah is, and more than anything, what it is not. As you know, we are in exile for too many years, close to 2,000 years. And the exile, you have to know that exile is not just when the nation, the people of the nation are not in the land. Exile is much more than that. Exile, the definition of exile is when things are not in their place. In the last 2,000 years, two major religions established, Christianity and Islam. And I don't know how many of you have background in theology, but it's very simple that they just do not have anything from their own originally. They took everything from our Bible, from our Tanakh. They agree. They based on our ideas, right? The problem is that they took many ideas that mentioned in our Tanakh, in our Bible, and twisted, just changed the meaning of them. One of the terrible things happened to the notion Emunah. What is Emunah? I want to just have some discussion with you a little bit. After it's a lecture, but I want to just hear your opinion. And let me put the question like this in order to just go into the topic. We use the word Emunah. To translate it to English, you could give few translation to the word Emunah. Faith, trust, belief. All of them are part of what Emunah is, but Emunah in Judaism is much bigger and much deeper. Now let me ask you the following question. In everyday talk, not in a theological term, we use the word Emunah in Hebrew, in English, I believe even in Spanish. Not when we're talking about God, the existence of God, or the Torah, or things like this. Right? I could say, I believe in something, idea. I believe to somebody, right? People use the word believe and they mean something by it. Oh, okay, the question is the following. Imagine somebody stand in front of a group of people and tell them something. And he said after a few sentences, I believe that this is such and such or so and so. After a few minutes, the same person about something else will say, I know that this is so and so. Assuming that he chose the words. And about one thing he said, I believe. And about other thing he said, I know. What actually we mean when we say, I know? What is the definition of knowledge versus Emunah, belief? Be aware of the following. When somebody said, Ani ma'amin, I believe in something, he considered the thing that he believed in like a fact, like a true. Because if not, he's not believed to himself. Right? So if in both cases, I feel that the thing that I know or believe is the same, what is the difference between belief and knowledge? This is the question to you, okay? Try to answer it. What do you think will be the definition of belief versus the definition of knowledge? And I want to remind you, not in theological terms, okay? In everyday talk. Not when we're talking about God or Torah or spirituality, okay? So what's your opinion?
I would say that faith, or Emunah in this case, is a conviction. I am convinced in my internal behavior that it is true. And I know is a fact. I have the fact, I have the reason to say I know about it because I have the facts.
In front of you. You could check the fact.
Yeah. So one thing is, I would say, I have the facts, and the other is a conviction.
Let me try to understand. When you convince yourself, based on what? Why you convince yourself?
It could be according to my background. Could be according to my intellectual experience.
Intellectual experience.
Yeah.
It's logic, right?
It's logic.
So it's facts. It's the same. So what's the difference between this and knowledge?
Yeah,
if it's based on facts or logical facts, right? This is knowledge. What will make Emunah versus maybe they are the same? What do you think?
I don't think the same.
They're not the same. So what's the difference?
Well, I would like to think about it.
Okay, think about it. Anybody could have different. Yeah. You.
One is just the difference in the certainty of how much you believe in something. I mean, one, not you believe, but I mean, one with faith, there might be some doubt. I mean, you believe that it could happen.
But it could be some doubt.
In that.
So knowledge is stronger, right?
Not in theological terms, and in like
everyday, not theological.
Everyday terms, yeah. I think when somebody knows, it's because they've proven it. There's facts. I mean, there's.
So we're going back to the facts. Knowledge is facts. So the level of certainty is high, right? So now my question to you: if so, if you're a rational person, why do you believe if you have doubts?
Because things point in that direction. You might not have.
In what way? In what way? If not approved, it will make it knowledge. If it's not approved, as a logical, rational, very careful person, I will say, I do not know. But I will not say I believe when I have no reason to believe. If I have doubts.
Yes,
see, it's a problem.
Yes,
What?
That's true if you're a person who needs to prove everything yourself. But
If you're rational, listen, my opinion is to be rational and to be logical, it's a responsibility. I always say, when you got from God the gift of ability to think, it's not just a gift, it's an obligation. You have to use it. So, if I have no reason to know that it's true, in the best way I could say, you know what, I don't know. But why I will believe when I do not know? So it's not, see why we need to analyze it? Because when you analyze it, you see that it's not so simple to define it, right? More than that, many people, I believe in many languages, misuse the word believe. When somebody will say, I believe that the economy is going to get better in the next year. What actually they want to say, I hope. But they say believe, and that also makes it up, right? So, fine. See, one of the things, okay, the things that I heard over here from actually both of you is the level of certainty. When we talk about knowledge, we talk about proof, solid proof, that we could prove them, so the level of certainty is very high. I will not even say here carefully that it's 100%, but it's very high. Versus believe, it's tendency to think so, but I could not prove it. And here is again, the question is, so why do you believe? But could be one major difference between them. Could you think about maybe a different thing? I present this question many times, and I got another major answer. Let's see if you will go on it. Another difference between knowledge and belief, yeah. You, whatever. You and after you. Yeah.
I think that the Emunah is based on the spiritual side of the person. The rationality is based on the evil, rational part of the person. Because the mind can think of anything. But the spiritual side...
What do you mean spiritual side?
So I think that the mind can think.
Okay.
And then the mind goes on and comes up with
All
all
right.
kinds of ideas.
The spiritual.
But then there is something that is not rational.
So what is this?
It's spiritual.
What do you mean?
Spiritual as not rational, and rational as not spiritual.
What's spiritual?
The opposite of rational.
Yeah. Maybe you mean, let me try to understand it. Maybe you mean that, one of the answers that's very close to what you say, I think, is the following. That knowledge belongs to here. Believe belongs to here. To the heart. To the feelings. Maybe that's spiritual, maybe not, I'm not sure. You could say that's something else, but that's one of the answers that I also get. It's two different things, right? Knowledge is here, brain, logic, facts, analyze, right? And belief is in the heart. I have a gut feeling, I feel so. Maybe that's spiritual, maybe spiritual is something even bigger in addition to it. Okay, what did you want to say?
Something like that.
Okay, fine. Okay, now I will continue my monologue. Okay? If what we just said is true, let's continue from here. We spoke about two things. The level of certainty and feelings or spiritual versus logic. Spiritual meaning it's something that comes from my spiritual side. The thing that comes out of it is the following. If it's so, that will make Emunah, believe, subjective thing versus knowledge, which will be objective. Right? Why? When I want to know something, be aware of the following. When I want to know a certain piece of knowledge, right? I want to know, let's say, what is the weather right now in Paris? But I'm here in Costa Rica. So be aware of the following. The weather in Paris is there, even though that I do not know about it now. It's there. It exists completely outside of me, and the fact that I do not know about it, it doesn't make it not exist, right? So how do I know it? The weather in Paris or anything that I want to know. I connect myself to the thing. The thing is there, and I connect myself. How? I could pick up the phone, call a friend in Paris. I could go to the internet, check it, right? I connect myself to the thing from here to the thing that exists completely outside of me. That will make knowledge something objective, because the method that I use to connect myself to the thing that I know, everybody who will use the same method will get the same knowledge, right? But if Emunah, if belief, is something that comes from my feelings or my spiritual side, right? My whatever it is, but it's something subjective. I feel it. It's something subjective. There is no point to try to convince anybody to believe what I believe, because only me, with my personality, very specific, exclusive personality, could feel what I feel. Nobody else could feel what I feel, right? And that makes the entire thing more in confusion. Because here's the problem. Now let's go talk about Emunah in the Tanakh, in the Torah. People use the word Emunah relating to God. Now, here's the problem. When somebody says, I believe in God, you could say just the opposite. I do not believe in God. So what people actually mean to say? If somebody say, I believe in God, he said, I believe that there is such a thing. There is a creator who created the universe, right? The other person will say, I do not believe in God, meaning I don't think there is anybody who created the universe. So how the universe exists? Randomly, all the theories that you probably know, right? Big Bang, evolution, whatever. But here's the problem. When you talk about the creator of the creation, we cannot see the creator. He is not physical. You could not feel him or sense him by our senses. Our senses are very good tools to relate to physical things. But when we talk about God, God is not physical. By the way, why? Why God must be not physical? Because he's almighty. Almighty means he doesn't have any limits. And any physical has limits. And he, according to he created the creation with its limits. And the limits are not obligated him. Therefore, we could not see him in our eyes or feel them in our sense, right? So, but the question is the following. We see the creation. We do not see the creator, but we see the creation. Almost every normal human being will agree that the creation is not an illusion. I say almost because there are a few who doubt this too. You know, some people love to doubt everything. They think it's very intellectual to doubt. Don't take things like, of course, put a question mark. So some people just deny existence. It's all illusion. Who said that you exist? Once I heard a very sharp joke from a very good friend of mine. He was teaching, he is a chemist, he gave a lecture about Torah and science, and it was a very stubborn Israeli anti-religion person in the crowd who wants to show that he's smart. So he bothered him during the entire lecture by questions and questions and questions. And then at the end, he get on his nerves and he said the following, you know what? Maybe we are not exist. Maybe everything is an illusion. So my friend answered the following answer to him. He said to him, listen, I respect your right to doubt if we exist. But you have to try to understand what that means. If we are not exist, you are not exist. And if you're not exist, your question never was asked. Therefore, I don't have to answer it. Right? It seems like a trick, but it's true. It's true. It's make it just ridiculous. Ridiculous. So let's agree that the universe exists. Okay? Now the next question will be, how? How the universe become? There are two options. Either there is a creator who created it, or randomly. There are both two good answers. But be aware of the following. Only one of the options is true. It could not be that both are true. Either there is a creator, or it just happened randomly, right? Now, here actually, what we're discussing? We're discussing fact. What is the fact? The fact is that there is a creator or not. In any case, the question if there is God or not, it's not a matter of belief. It's a matter of fact. It's not what you feel. If I'll ask the following question, imagine that we have a room in this size just right above us. Higher floor, right? Now my question to you is, in the room upstairs, there is a table in in the center of the room, yes or no? I could accept as valid 3 kind of answers. If somebody will say, yes, there is a table in the center of the room upstairs. Yes, there is. How do you know? I was there just a few seconds ago and I saw it. Okay. Somebody will say, no, there is nothing upstairs. How do you know? I just went there. Nothing there. The third option will be, I don't know. I don't know. Why you do not know? Go upstairs. I'm lazy. The door is closed. I don't know. All these 3 kind of answers are valid. What will not be valid? I believe there is a table. Or I believe there is not. It's not a matter of belief. We're talking about fact. Either it's there or not. The fact that you will feel, believe, mean you feel, will not... You know, when I say I believe, and I mean I believe, your feelings will not make the something nothing or the nothing something. Your belief is not creating reality. So when we talk about God, one of the 2 options, either he is there or not. In any case, it's not a matter of belief. It's a matter of fact. Either you know it or you do not know it. Now people say, you know what? There is difference between God and the table upstairs. Why? Because the table I could see in my eyes. But God I could not see in my eyes. So, therefore, there are many physical things that we could not see in our eyes. And yet, we do not believe, but we know that they are there. Electricity. Magnetic power. Nobody ever... Gravity. Anybody saw ever the gravity? There is such a thing? Do we believe in this or we know? We know. How do we know? We never saw it. We didn't see it, but we see the consequences of the fact that the gravity is there, right? Therefore, it's there. Meaning it's not a condition that if it comes, I could feel it through my senses, it will make it there. The same thing about God. We have to know again, the question if there is God or not, it's not a matter of Emunah, meaning I feel so, I don't feel so. It's an objective thing, it's not a subjective thing. And here's the twist that other religions make. They, Christians and Muslim, and any other religion, relate to Emunah in this way, but not Judaism. And about this I came tonight to speak. Let me show you from the Torah few very interesting things about what Emunah is. First of all, I went through the 613 mitzvot in the Torah. You know that we have 613 commandments in the Torah. I went through them more than once and twice, or even more than that, looking for a mitzvah to believe in God. I couldn't find it. No mitzvah in the Torah to believe in God. Could you believe this? There's no such a mitzvah. Not just this, there is an opposite mitzvah. And you all know it. If you come to shul, to the synagogue, to Bet Knesset, you know it. Because we sang it 3 times each day if we praying Shacharit, Mincha, and Arvit. It's at the last paragraph of the Tefillah, we say Aleinu Leshabeach. In Aleinu Leshabeach, there is a verse from Sefer Dvarim. Let me show you the verse and see exactly what's written in it. This is the verse. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 39. וידעת היום, והשבות אל לבביך, כי השם הוא האלוקים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. The translation to English. You shall know this day. Not to believe. And what the pasuk speak about? The existence of God. And what the Torah says? You should know it. Don't believe in it. You should know it. So I'm sorry to inform you that if you think, before you came to this room, that you are pretty good Jews, if you believe in God, you're not. When you do not know it, this is the basic request. Now the question is, how could we know? But let me continue in this and prove it. I hope everybody in this room heard about Maimonides. the Rambam, you know what I'm talking about? One of the big, great scholars that ever has the Jewish nation had, right? He wrote many books. One of the biggest books in Halacha and philosophy. The Rambam wrote a big book called Mishnei Torah LaRambam. And he summarized all the halachot, all the laws, the Jewish laws in his book. And he was very, very thorough, very, very intelligent. Every word in its place. The first halachot in the Rambam, called Hilchot Yesodei Torah, the foundation of the Torah, the philosophical foundation of the Torah. There are 10 chapters over there. The first halakha in the first chapter said the following. This is quote from the Rambam. Yesodei Yesodot, here's the translation in English. Yesodei Yesodot ve'amud ha'chochmot, leida sheyesh shem matzui rishon. It is the foundation of all foundations and the pillar of wisdom to know that there exists a first cause. This, by the way, the term that in philosophy we relate to God, the first cause, the beginning, the source, the reason of everything, right? So about this, that there is God, you should know it. This is Halakha Aleph, the first law. He's going to the consequences on this in Halakha Bet, Gimel, and Dalet, and Hey. And in Halakha Vav, relate to this, he said something amazing. After he said, this is the obligation to know that there is God, he said in Halakha Vav the following, V'yidi'at davar ze mitzvat aseh, shene'emar anochi Hashem Elokecha. It is a positive commandment to know this matters, meaning that there is God, for it's written, I am the Lord your God. And here we come to the 10 Commandments. Everybody knows about the 10 Commandments, right? Even the Christians, right? They took it from our Torah and made it the base of their religion, right? What is the first commandment? I once asked, it was a friendly talk with Christian scholars. And we discussed many things. We got to the 10 Commandments. And I asked them the following. You as Christians believe in the 10 Commandments, right? Could you explain to me the first one? How it relates to any Christian? What actually the commandments say? Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am God, who took you out of Egypt, of a house of slavery. How it could relate to any Christian? Any of them were in Egypt, a slave, and God took them out of Egypt? No. So how it's become a Christian thing? It's for sure not relate only to the Jewish people. So I told them, with a smile, take one off. You have, in the good case, 9. You do not have the first one. But, when we ask ourselves, as Jews, what is the meaning of the first commandment? It seems that there is no commandment over here. The commandment started from the second one. Lo yeh lecha Elohim acharim al panai. Don't idol worship. Don't worship idols, right? Okay? So, it starts from the second one. What's the first one? It seems like a business card. You know who I am? I am God, who took you out of Egypt. Therefore, you owe me, and therefore don't worship idols. Right? What is the meaning of the first one? It's a mitzvah by itself. So says the Rambam, in this mitzvah, this is the mitzvah to know that there is God. Now, about this also, we have to understand. Aside from Maimonides, it was a very great Jewish scholar named Nachmanides. Ramban. Yes, Rambam and Ramban, right? Ramban wrote a whole Pirush to the Torah, the whole commentaries to the Torah. And when he got to the 10 Commandments, to this commandment, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, he agreed with the Rambam. Look what he said. Anochi Hashem Elokecha, this is the Ramban, Nachmanides. אנוכי השם אלוקיך, הדיבור הזה מצוות עשה. This is a positive commandment. אמר אנוכי השם, יורה ויצווה אותם. It's a positive commandment, instructing them to know and to believe that there is Hashem and He is their God. Be aware of the words of the Ramban. He speaks about knowledge and belief. But he did it in very funny order. יורה ויצווה אותם שידעו ויאמינו. First, know and then believe. And it's not by chance. And here we come to try to understand what really Emunah is. Many people think Emunah, believe, is when you could not know, therefore you have no other option than believe. And I said before that it's not right. If you do not know, or you have no way to know, say, I do not know. Why do you believe when there is something that you do not know? So here's the thing. Belief is not a substitute to a place that you could not, when you could not know. According to the words of the Ramban, I will prove it. Belief comes after knowledge and only after knowledge. Right after you know, then you could start think about belief. And that will obligate us to try to understand what belief is. Right? The Ramban also is not inventing this thing by himself. He actually put this order, sheyid'u v'yaminu, first know and then believe. And, you know, if we will talk about this and try to use the same order, it will look very funny. If I say, you know, I know that there is a table over here, a desk over here, and I also believe in this. Right there. The other half of the sentence seems extra or weird or not in its place. If you know, as you say before, knowledge apparently is a higher level of certainty, right? So, if you say, I know and I also believe, it seems like you reduce what you know before. And yet, Ramban uses it, sheyad'u v'yaminu. And actually, the Ramban, quoting Isaiah, quoting Yeshayahu Hanavi. Let me show you a verse in Yeshayahu Hanavi. Isaiah, chapter 43. Atem edai ne'um Hashem. Hashem speaks through Isaiah, through Yeshayahu Hanavi, and he says the following about the Jewish nation. You are my witnesses, says Hashem, and my servant, ve'avdi asher bacharti, and my servant whom I chose, that you may leman ted'u, ve'ta'aminu li, ve'tavinu, ki ani hu. He speaks again about the existence of God, and he said three notions, one after another, in this order. Ted'u, knowledge, ta'aminu, believe, ve'tavinu, understand. In this order. You may know and believe in me and understand. Okay. Now let's try. Is it only me that's feeling very hot over here? Or you too? You too, right? So maybe we'll change something about the air condition to make it easier. Okay. Anyway, I'll try to now, in a few minutes, just show you something very, very interesting, very deep about what Emunah is. As we say over here, Emunah is not a substitute to knowledge. Emunah has real meaning only after knowledge. In order to understand what real Emunah in Judaism is, I want to show you an amazing key to understand the deep meaning of the holy language, of the Hebrew, but the Hebrew of the Tanakh, okay? In grammar, at least in Israel, but I believe also here, when you learn Hebrew, one of the things that is very obvious in Hebrew, that every word in Hebrew has a root. Every term, every notion has a root. The root is a combination of three letters, right? So the key to understand the deep meaning of every notion, every word in Hebrew, is the following. Take the word that you want to understand, in our case, the word Emunah. There are 4 steps to do. The first thing, verify what is the root of it. So what is the root three letters of the word Emunah. What is Emunah? The root are the letters Aleph, Mem, and Nun. This is the root. Aleph, Mem, and Nun is a word by itself in Hebrew, Amen, which is confirm. Yes, when I say something, somebody say Amen, he confirmed that what I said is true, right? But I'm not talking about the Amen as a word, but at the letters Aleph, Mem, and Nun as the root. Now, let's try to understand. And again, there is a lot of wisdom in this. I want to understand the notion Emunah, or any other notion in Hebrew. Imagine as a parable, if somebody go to a forest and here you have a beautiful foliage, amazing, and you know, somebody who really like nature will go and try to understand the nature. So imagine somebody going in the forest and see a beautiful, very rare tree with very unique leaves. And one of the leaves draws his attention and he wants to understand this leaf. The leaf, okay? He looked at the leaf from all angles, he feel it, wrote about it, study it very thoroughly. If he really wants to understand it, people will tell him, listen, these leaves come from certain source, the branch. You could not just start to analyze it from here down. You have to go all the way to understand from where it's coming from. So where it's coming from? From the branch. And the little branch comes from a bigger branch, and the bigger branch from a bigger branch until the trunk. So you have to go all the way to the trunk. Okay, you do this and you feel very happy. Wow, I did such a thorough thing. I researched it through, I got to the trunk. Then people will tell them, listen, you didn't finish. You now look on the revealed part of it. There is a hidden part of it in the ground. And if you want to really be thorough, you have to go all the way down to the root. If you got to the root, you got everything. Because there is nothing in the branches and the leaves that doesn't have a source. And this is why it's called source. It's the root. This is the source of it. Same thing about words in Hebrew. You want to understand what Emunah is? Go to the root. Go to the root. What do you find? 3 letters. Aleph, Mem, and Nun. Okay, this is step number 1. Step number 2, after you got the root, from the root, the same root, comes many leaves, many branches. In grammar, it's called derivatives. You know what I'm talking about? Derivatives that come from the same root. Right? So, don't be lazy. Gather together as many derivatives that come from the same root. Even though you will get different words that apparently it seems that there is no connection between them. But don't be lazy. Put them all together. Just gather them. Okay? Let's do it. I'll put over here on the board few derivatives that come from the same root, Aleph, Mem, and Nun. All of them we use in modern Hebrew today, and everybody who speaks Hebrew over here will recognize them immediately because we're talking about them in our everyday Hebrew. And all of them have different versions in the Tanakh, in different verses in the Tanakh. I will translate each of them to English, even though the translation will not be the same. It's always, there is a reduction of the quality when you translate, okay? But let's do this. Let's put them together, okay? The root of the word Emunah in Hebrew are the letters Aleph, Mem, and Nun. And here's the derivatives. Derivative number 1 is the word Aminut in Hebrew. Aminut. I could say about a person, he is Amin. Amin is reliable, reliability. I could say about a company who make products, right? Achivrahi Aminah, the company is reliable. Okay? That, the word Aminut, comes from the same root. Aleph, Mem, and Nun. Okay? Derivative number 2. The word Ne'emanut. Ne'emanut meaning faithfulness or loyalty, to be loyal. Come from the same root, Aleph Mem and Nun. Derivative number 3. Derivative number 3 is the word imun. Imun could be training, exercise, leit amen, right? Come from the same root, Aleph Mem and Nun. Derivative number 4, omanut, art, artist, omanut, come from the same root, Aleph Mem and Nun. Derivative number 5 is omenit or omen, which is, the translation over here obviously is not good. Omenit is not a nanny. A nanny is, in the good case, a babysitter. Omenet, it's much more than that. Omenet is something that the closest thing to accurate in English that I found was foster mother, if you know what is this. Foster mother, educator. Somebody who was in charge to develop and take out and make the personality of this little kid grow, right? This is a very responsible job, okay? Fine, so we have 5. We have 5 derivatives that come from the same root, Aleph Mem and Nun, right? There are more, I could tell you, there are more. I just will mention them. The word omnam in Hebrew, omnam. Omnam, ze achen kach. It is like that, omnam. We find it in the Torah when Avraham Avinu said about Sarah, when Avimelech asked him, why did you say that she is your sister? So he said, vegam omna achoti bat avi ach lo bat imi. Omna is, it's true, it's like this. The word amana, amana Geneva. Amana is also a treaty, come from the same root. But let's just, analyze those derivatives over here. If you look at them, you could see that there is no must-be connection between them. It seems that there is no connection. What's the connection between aminut or reliability to, let's say, training? I mean, there is no must-be connection. If you're a good lawyer, you can make a connection between anything. But it's not a must-be connection, right? It's not a must-be connection. But the fact is that in Hebrew they come from the same root. So if they came from the same root, it must be hidden connection. Remember, the root is not revealed. It's under the ground. It's deep, right? So it must be connection, but it's deep. Okay? Fine. So what did we do until now are 2 things. Verified what is the root of the word Emunah, and put together derivatives that come from the same root. Step number 3, it's one before the last one, is take each one of those derivatives and define it and give it as much accurate definition that you can. Okay? So let's do this. Define them, each one of them. What is aminut? Reliability. When a person or a company deserve to call reliable, there is a condition that without this, nobody will be reliable. If somebody will come and tell you stories, first time in your life you met this person, he gave promises and words from here to who knows where, he's not reliable yet. He promised, okay, let's see. We're going to check him out, right? A company give you a product and promise this product could do this and this and this and this. When the company will become reliable, after they sell the product, and after a year or 2 of people using it, they will say, you know what, everything that they promised is there. And then they will give another one and another one and another one. Then they will deserve the word reliable. So what will be the definition of aminut? The definition will be only after being tested. Only. Again and again until you get it by proving it. Right? See, here's the first hint. Emunah in Judaism, it's not blind faith. This is the most stupid thing that anybody could do. The most irresponsible thing is to blind faith. If somebody will tell you ever, this is my good advice to the people that I really care about. Of course, they have free will not to relate to what I say, but then they could blame only themselves. My good advice. If somebody will tell you, just trust me, don't ever do that. Ever. What do you mean trust me? What do you mean don't ask questions? Are you scared of something? It's suspicious. If it's true, prove it. Don't just believe. It's the most irresponsible thing to do. And in Judaism, it's not exist. The first thing about Emunah, it should be reliable. Reliable meaning tested. Tested. Okay? So this is derivative number one. Derivative number two is faithfulness. And here again, about faithfulness. When you could say that somebody is faithful, loyal. You know, when you go to the army, the first thing that you do, the first day, is you nishba emunim, right? You obligated yourself to do whatever they will tell you, right? You will be faithful, loyal. Other area, I know today it's old-fashioned, but it's still, people think, remember that there is such a thing. Loyalty between husband and wife, right? So when you could say that this couple are very faithful to each other, there is a condition also. What's the condition? Imagine a couple, young couple, that got married from a big, great, amazing love. Truly, they love each other. Okay? They got married. What happened if we will take them and put them in one of the amazing islands over here, one beautiful island, and give them everything that they will need, but they will be on the island by themselves for 5 years. After 5 years you come to visit them, you'll see that they are smiling. That's rare. You know, people after 5 years of marriage still smiling. To each other. Wow. But could we take their picture, smiling to each other, send it to the Guinness, whatever, the Guinness book, and say, this is the example of loyalty, faithfulness, when they were alone on the island for 5 years. It's nice, but it doesn't show any loyalty or faithfulness. What is the condition of being loyal? This is the condition. The same way we have condition over here. In order to be reliable, you have to be tested. The condition of faithfulness or loyalty is loyalty in face of temptation. And the bigger the temptation is, the more effort you need in order to push it in order to be loyal. That will make you loyal. Okay? This is ne'emanut, faithfulness. Faithfulness is always loyalty in face of temptation. Okay? Number 3, let's go a little bit to sports. Training. Imagine somebody that never was into sport, but one day, I don't know, at the age of 23, 24, 27, decided to run every day, to go, to do kosher, to do exercise. It's hard for him because he never did it. The first few days will be, pain all over. So you could ask yourself, what got into him? Why he's doing this? Why anybody will make an effort? In sports, it's physical effort, but it's any training, you have to make an effort. Sometimes it's intellectual effort, sometimes it's physical effort. What is the definition of Emunah, of training? What is your goal? There is a potential that you know that you could get, but you're not there yet. But because you know that you could do that, you have a motivation to do it, right? So actually in Emunah, what we're doing is trying to actualize a potential. Actualize a potential through effort, that called Emunah, training, exercise. Okay, that will be enough for this definition, for this derivative. Let's go to art. There are any artists over here? Probably. There is? No? Yes? Any painter or somebody who could play? Okay. Again, imagine somebody who went for a trip and he saw a beautiful scenery that really captured him or her, and they got very excited about it. They got back home, they took a canvas, they took a color, and they made a picture of the scenery. And they made an amazing picture, 3D, HD. Amazing picture. They put it on the wall. Anybody who enters their house is sure that the window is open, and actually you see the real thing. That would be an amazing picture, right? So actually, what's the idea of art? What is the definition of art? Here's the definition. From abstract to tangible. In a way, it's very similar to training in sports, but with one high level. Let's see. In sports, let's say I have muscles over here like this. This is very flat. And one day I got a cool idea that I want to make a mountain over here. So I asked, how do you do that? They told me very easy. Do like this for 3 months straight, you will develop a mountain. Okay? Fine. So I did it, and I got a mountain. Through training, right? What is the difference between before and after? Before, it was undeveloped muscles, and now it's developed muscles, but it's muscles, meaning it's physical. In art, we're going one step higher. I got excited from a beautiful scenery. It touched my heart and my feelings, and I want to share it with people. How do I do this? Be aware, it's not physical. My excitement and what I want to share. So I'm taking physical things like a canvas and colors, and through the tangible, I want to people through the tangible touch or have some feelings that I want to share with them. So it's higher level because it's not physical. It's through the physical I get to the something above physical. Last thing is the foster mother, Omenet. And here it's very similar again to Emunah and Omanut, to training in art, but in very higher level. I will put over here the definition. Don't feel intimidated by it. I know each one of us raised kids and we want to give them the most that we could, but we always could do better. So don't feel intimidated by this. This is the high definition of what foster mother should be. Create harmonious and precise balance of the many varied forces of the body and the soul. Meaning, a professional foster mother or father, it doesn't matter, should do the following. First of all, they should be very knowledgeable in psychology. They should know all the different attributes that is in a human personality. Okay? But this is the easy part. The next part is, when you got a baby or a kid, you have to do analysis, diagnosis, what's in front of you. And we have to know, and this is part of the things that maybe we'll talk about during Shabbat, or after Shabbat, I don't know, when we speak about chinuch, about education, you have to know the following. Since Hashem created the first couple in the world, Adam and Chava, to the end of days, will never ever will happen that two people will be born in the same mixture of attributes in their personality. Everybody is individual. Therefore, there is no recipes. And the pasuk says, "Chanoch lana'ar al pi darko." You should learn his way, her way. Every individual is different. So after you know all the attributes that are in the human personality, you have to try to be as exact as you can, as accurate as you can, in the analysis of what in this case. And you have to assume that everybody in the world has some good attributes and some less good attributes. It's a fact. We should accept it. After we're doing this, what's the goal of a foster mother or foster father? To realize the good attributes, encourage them, develop them, and make this kid take the good, the most good of what he has in his potential. What they should do as professionals with the not too good attributes, not destroy them or crash them, that will cause reaction. It's there. Realize them and put them as tools in order to express the good ones. Wow, that's complicated. And it's not enough. You have to know when to do what. Because if you try to do things before it's time, maybe it's premature. If you will delay too much, maybe you miss the train. So this is an art. This is a very responsible thing. And as I said, it's very, very close to art and training. In one higher level, remember the first difference between undeveloped muscles to developed muscles, but it's still physical. In art, we're going higher. We take abstract and we want to share it through the tangible. In educating and foster mothering, foster fathering, we're doing something even bigger than that. You know how? The great artists in the world, let's say Michelangelo, you heard about Michelangelo with his famous statues, David and the others, and Moses. The most amazing artist that make a statue that look exactly 3D, HD, like a kid who's smiling or crying. You know, when you go next to this statue, you take one step back because you think for a minute that this is a real person, but then you realize it's not. This is an amazing thing, right? Amazing statue. What's the problem with it? What David HaMelech says in Tehillim about statues. Einayim lahem velo yiru, oznaim lahem velo yishma'u. It's a statue. He has eyes, but he could not see. He has ears, he could not hear. When you take a real kid, a real baby, it's not a statue. It's a real human being. And if you developed it the right way, you will do an amazing job, an amazing thing. It's an amazing project. Okay? So the last three are the same, actualizing potential, but in different levels. Okay? Okay? So we finished step number 3. Remember the steps? Step number 1, verify the root. Step number 2, gather together derivatives. Step number 3, we just finished here, define each one of them. And here we come to the punchline. And we're very close to the end. Okay. Just in case you think it will continue to the morning. Take now all those definitions and take the notion. Remember, we have here 5 aside from the thing that we want to verify, which is Emunah. Now take Emunah now and go through all of them and you will see an amazing, amazing wisdom. And the accurate, real deep definition of what Emunah is. The first thing about Emunah could be very dangerous. Very dangerous. You know, take the history, see how many millions, maybe billions, of people during the history believe in something that they never checked in the beginning. They just blind faith believed in it. People got killed for it. And then many people realized that it was a false. It was not true. So Emunah, you could believe in all of your heart, with all your feelings, in the wrong thing. Therefore, you have to be very careful when you deal with Emunahs. There are 2 kinds of Emunah. Blind faith and rational, logical faith. In Judaism, the first one is not exist. There is no such a thing. The first Jew in the world wasn't Jewish. You know that? His name was Avraham Avinu. He was a Gentile. He was born in a society of idol worshippers, to a family of idol worshippers, when the family business was to produce idols. Nobody taught him. He got to the conclusion that everybody is wrong and there is only one God by himself. And therefore I could say that he was the most anti-believer ever. Because if he was believed to the stupidities that his father and mother and the teachers in his kindergarten and the elementary school, high school, university, philosopher of his generation would tell, he will never become Avraham Avinu. He was another stupid idol worshiper. He heard everything. He thought about this and he said, it doesn't make sense. And he has the courage to stand in front of everybody. The Torah says about Avraham Avinu, it's mentioned in the Torah, Avraham ha'ivri. Says the Medrash on this. Why he called Avraham ha'ivri? Shekol ha'olam omed me'ever echad, v'hu omed me'ever echad. Everybody is standing in one side and he himself standing in front of all of them and saying, you all wrong. You know, he never heard about a term called peer pressure. And we are, in a way, we inherit that from him. But we are not using it always in the right place. You know, we as Jews, especially Israelis, we could stand in the front of the world and say, so what if you believe so? So what if everybody believes so? I know I'm different. Right? I know that you're all wrong. Avraham Avinu did it, and he was right. He was right. He made the most amazing revolution ever that one person did. Destroying the idols and spread out the spiritual truth about monotheism. Okay? Avraham Avinu got to this with logic, not with blind faith. And we inherit that from him. You know, in business, you are here among many non-Jews. You know that. If you want to do a business, you could sell to anyone whatever you want. But try with Jews. They will ask you a million questions before they will sign anything. They're not believing. I mean, they ask questions, and it's good, and it's right. Right? Okay, so the first thing about Emunah is it must be reliable. And here we could understand what Yeshayahu Hanavi says when he put it in this order. Le'man ted'u v'ta'aminu. Because first you have to check it out. Remember, reliability is only after being tested. After being tested, become a knowledge. So if it's a knowledge, what room left for Emunah? But this is the condition. Don't just believe. Check it out. You checked it out, you're 100% sure, go for it. Now, you're in the first step. You know. Now, the question that we ask, if I know what left to believe, and here's the secret. From all of those derivatives, you know what Emunah is? Number 2. What's number 2? Number 2 is to be loyal to what you know. After you checked it out, ask all the relevant questions, got all the relevant answers, convinced 100% that it's true, so you know it. Okay? You know it? Now here is something that everybody should know. Some people could force themselves in a way that, you know what, I have so many questions about Judaism, I ask all the rabbis, nobody really give me answers. You know how many people like this I met? A lot. If somebody will give me the answers, I'm not talking about somebody you know who really do not interested, somebody who really wants to know, and he didn't get the answers. And somebody once told me the following: if I will have all the answers about all my questions, tomorrow I'm doing everything that Hashem says in the Torah. But I have some doubts, I have some questions. It's never solved. It's very nice to say it, but it's not realistic. We have to know, we are not computers. Each one of us has a computer over here, right? But we are not just the computers. Aside from the computer, we have also feelings, hearts, habits, a lot of other things. And the nature of a human being is that you could think for sure, 100%, no doubts. I'm not talking about Torah or religion. 100%, and yet act just against what do you know. Did you ever heard about people who are smoking and they have no doubts that smoking is bad? It's not good. So as a rational person who are a heavy smoker, you are not arguing that it's causing you damage. And you are not really want to commit suicide. And you want to see your children and grandchildren getting married, right? So why do you do this? What will be the answer? The honest answer of somebody. He will tell you, you know what? You do not have to convince me. I know. You know how many times I decided to quit? You do not have to convince me. So if you decided to quit, why are you still smoking? You know what will be the real honest answer for this? My mind telling me quit now. My mind. But against my mind, I have my habits, I have my feelings, I have a society around me that all of them are smokers. So in a way, this guy is crying out and saying, you know what, I hope that one day I will be strong enough to make my mind the decision maker in this case. But I'm not. And we have to know it's not just related to smoking. A lot of things. We could know 100% what's right and yet do just the opposite. And the Torah knows that. And Hashem knows that. And that's why he said in the pasuk that I showed you before. Now look at this pasuk again. This verse. וידעת היום והשבות האלה לבביך. וידעת היום is here. והשבות האלה לבביך, what do you know here, connected to here. And this is Emunah. Emunah, be aware, number 2 again, ne'emanut. Emunah is to be loyal to the reliability of the truth that you verified. Don't live in contradiction between what do you know and how do you act. To make it even more sharp, imagine somebody who got a brand new car, powerful car, very unusual, with the engine of an airplane. He is a very good driver. He has the most accurate GPS. You go to the car, seems ideal, right? You go to the car, open the door, sit down in the driver's seat, turn on the engine screams, meaning, I want to go. So he pushed the gas, nothing happened. He pushed even harder, nothing. The engine screams, but the car is not moving. What's the problem? They forgot to put the transmission. There's no transmission. The heart is the engine. The mind is the GPS. The Emunah is the transmission that connects this with this. This is Emunah. Therefore, Emunah comes only after knowledge. Leman ted'u v'ta'aminu. First verify that it's truth, because if not, you could go on the wrong thing. After you verify, don't think for a minute that after you will get answer for all your questions, that automatically will make you do it. Because the reality is that we know many things and we are not doing it. Emunah is a work to be loyal, to connect the heart with the brain, with the knowledge. This is Emunah. Number 2, faithfulness. Don't live in contradiction between what you know and how you're running your life. Wow. So if you understand this, number 1 is philosophy, to verify with the truth. Number 2 is psychology, to know that the fact that you know it it's not automatically make you do it. You have to work for it. Now the question is, okay, I'm aware of this. Now I want to do it. How do I do it? Remember, loyalty in face of temptation. And there are so many temptations. And if you, in the face of temptation, you really working hard, put in effort, push away the temptation. You know what's so frustrated? The next temptation is right around the corner. And it will never end. Therefore, you have work for the rest of your life. But if you want to really win, what do you have to do? Train yourself. Training. Number 3. In training, in the beginning, it seems impossible. So hard. But do it again and again and again and again, you'll become a champion. You know what God did to us is, in a way, not fair. When He created us, He put a big, great, amazing, powerful neshama, but He put it in a body, physical body. And He caused the most unbelievable problem to us. Why? Because our neshama wants to do what's right. But our body is interested in totally different things. The worst shidduch ever is the shidduch between the body and the soul. They should be partnered, but anything that interested the neshama do not interest the body at all, and vice versa. So what God did, He took those two opposites, tied them together, threw them to the word, get along. Get along, really. You know what He did actually? He made a great parnasa for psychologists and psychiatrics. But, so it seems unfair. But actually He gave us a solution. And what do you think? Life is not simple. Life is a challenge. Life is a challenge. He gave us a set of exercises. He put us in the field, and He gave us 613 exercises. All of them connect the body with the soul. Don't do anything that physical only. This is the meaning of Kiddushan v'mitzvotav. Take a physical and make it kadosh. Give it a spiritual meaning. Connect. This is it. Now, when you do it, you build yourself. This is a work of art. A work of art. You take a physical thing and give it spiritual meaning. This is a piece of art. And it's more than a statue. It's much closer to the foster mother. You do a real thing. And you create yourself. And all of this is in the word Emunah. Emunah is, first of all, check it out, that it's reliable. Second, be faithful to what you know after you check it out, after you verify it. It's not easy. You have to train yourself and do it again and again and again and again. When you do it again and again, at the end you will be the champion, no doubt. Let me just finish with the very, very powerful parable. Imagine somebody who was involved in a car accident. It was a very bad car accident. He finds himself crawling from under a smashed car that's completely smashed. So he come out, checked out, all his limbs is there, okay? Fine, he's shaking, but he's okay. It looks okay. He went home, fell asleep immediately. The next day, he woke up, checked again. It seems that everything is okay. Baruch Hashem, he was going to shul, to the synagogue and say Hagomel. But after 2 days, he realized that he has some problems with his right arm. It's not major, but it's hard for him to move his right arm. He went to a doctor just in case. The doctor checked him out, didn't find any break or anything. He told him, you know what, I don't find any physical problem, but let me send you to a physiotherapist. He went to the physiotherapist. Physiotherapist says, he said, you know what, there is a slight damage, But after he checked it out, he say it's reversible. We could check it. We could treat it. In order to do it, you have. I'm going to give you a set of training things to do for a month. After each week, come to me to check out where you're holding. Okay. In order to be balanced, he gave him exercise for both hands, right? To keep the balance. After a week, this guy came, and the physiotherapist asked him, "No, did you do what we said for you?" He said, "Yes, I did exactly what you told me, doctor. In this hand, it was smooth and easy. In this hand, it was a little bit hard, so I continue with this one." He told him, "Listen, you want to be healthy? So what if it was hard? When it was hard, there is the problem. איפה שקשה לך, where it's hard for you, this is the problem." Now, let's take this to the mitzvahs. We have 613 mitzvahs. Many of the mitzvahs are so beautiful. Many people, just connect to certain mitzvahs in the Torah, easy for them to do, right? And they really even enjoy it. But some of the mitzvahs, for different people, different mitzvahs, this is hard for me. When it's hard for you, this is the place that this is your problem. If you want to be healthy, just do it again and again. The beginning it will be hard, but then if you do it again and again and again, you'll be champion. This is the secret of Emunah. This is the deep meaning of Emunah. Emunah includes in it all of these things. Reliability, loyalty, training, art, and actually what the foster mother to do to a kid. In one level up. The most dedicated teacher or foster mother could spend her life teaching with good intention many people, many children what to do, right? But because she's so busy telling others what to do, she doesn't have time for herself. Emunah is not telling others what to do. It's telling you what to do. And this is Emunah. So Emunah again, the bottom line, we're going out from here knowing that Emunah is not instead of knowledge, but it comes after knowledge. And that's exactly what we say when we say, "Ani ma'amin be'emunah shlema." What is emunah shlema? A complete emunah. What is the opposite of complete emunah? A missing emunah, a lack. There is a lack. Yeah, that's the opposite of what emunah could miss. The idea. The knowledge. Emunah shlema is emunah that comes after knowledge. It's not a blind faith. And that's what we said. Ani ma'amin, I believe with a complete faith. Complete faith meaning it's a faith that back up with logic. And we could know it. We could know it. If you ask now, we could ask, could we know? First of all, we said this is the first commandment in the 10 Commandments, to know. Rambam bring it to halacha. Maimonides bring it to halacha. This we have to know. If you will ask how we could know, I could offer you Arachim seminar. We prove that Torah is true. We could have proved. The history of the Jewish nation, we'll speak about it a little bit on Shabbat. The history of the Jewish nation is obviously has some hashgacha, some supervision from, you could not understand, you could not explain the existence of the nation. And all the prophecies that we are seeing now coming true, the Jews coming back to Israel after almost 2,000 years in exile, as exactly the Nevi'im said in the beginning. Moshe Rabbeinu said that 3,300 years ago. ושב השם אלוקיך את שבותך וריחמך, ושב וקיבצך מבין כל העמים אשר הפיצך השם אלוקיך שמה. You go back to the land of Israel. 200 years ago, it was like a dream. We're in exile so many years, it's not gonna change. You just have to wait, and you'll see that every word of God will be fulfilled. And there are other way to prove that the Torah is truth. So it's not a blind faith. Emunah Shlema is a complete emunah, and that's what we said every night after Kriyat Shema shel Tfilat Arvit. Emet ve'emunah. First emet, and then emunah. So emunah is something much deeper than people could think, especially by the influence of other religions. Okay? So thank you very much for the patience. I know it was not an easy lecture. It's a philosophical, you have to think. And the atmosphere or the weather or the temperature was not easy also. But thank you very much, and I hope you'll gain from this. Anybody who wants to hear this kind of approach, I know you heard probably many lectures in the past, everybody in different, every lecturer, every teacher has his own way. If you like this way, I just recommend for you, you could, we could use the internet to do good things too. So I have my own channel on YouTube, and there are many lectures, about 145, 146 lectures in YouTube. About every week, I'm putting up another 2 or 3 lectures, mostly in Hebrew, mostly on Parashat HaShavua, but not just. But this one of them, and I have a channel on YouTube. This is the address. It's not the regular YouTube. It's this YouTube, youtube.com, user/Yinon Kalazan. And I have also a page on Facebook, and I will be more than happy to be a friend of all of you and all of your friends. Okay? And it's free. It's free. You could use it. You could hear it on the way, when you're traveling, when you're there. So, Bezrat Hashem, this way, we will make more Jews aware and appreciate the wisdom and the treasure that we have in the Torah. Thank you very much.